this was not a good space to have a fail safe. Whew. Hey, Stu from UAVfutures here, and today, well, this one's going to be for you freestyle pilots out there, people who might be looking at the iFlight NAZGUL, wondering what competition is out there, and this one might be just that thing. So this is the HG LRC Sector 5. It comes in two versions, a 6S and a 4S, and essentially, it's just something you take out of the box. It is relatively cheap on the good value side at $184, I think, and it just works. F7 flight controller, everything in here. Take it out of the box, you are ready, off to do some nice freestyle action. Now, if you already build your own, you're doing custom frames, custom builds, all that sort of stuff, this one's not going to be for you. This is just aimed at those pilots who want a decent, reliable rig they can take out of the box and just have a good time. So let's do it. What we're going to do in this video, we're going to break it down, look at the text and the specs on the bench. I'm also running a bit of a giveaway. If you head over to another video, a little card should pop up there because, yeah, I was giving one of these things away. I'll draw that in the next couple of days. But in this video, we're going to look at the text and the specs, go out to the field, see what long-range Tony thinks, and show you some HD footage as well, and find out, is this the NAZGUL killer that people are talking about? How does it stack up? There's some pros and cons and all that sort of stuff, and just pretty much find out, is this going to be the right freestyle rig from you? Now, first and foremost, as a bit of an overview, I should say it's from HG LRC, who have been in the game for a long time. They are absolutely one of the companies that's been there from the start. I know when they did the XJB145, that little 3-inch drone, absolutely killed it. It was fantastic and a work of art. They're back at it again. They've done a lot other ones. I know Tony flies around with a Batman 220 or something like that. They've had a few different ones, and they just keep kind of, I think there was a Mephisto or a bunch of different little drones they've put together, and it's good to see each time they keep innovating, working on it, and also the prices keep dropping, which is fantastic for us consumers out there. Now, the weight is about 357 grams. I'll put that on the screen. Let's go through some of the text and the specs, but in terms of design and the carbon they've used on here, it's got some 5mm arms. They're replaceable, which is great, and they're 10 mils wide, and I've got to say, it actually does have a little bit of flex, but I don't know if that's going to be a good or a bad thing. I wouldn't say I'd take this to fly around any hardcore concrete environments. You'd be much better suited to something like the Vanguard from Cutter's Machine Works. This one, it definitely looks like something you'd be taken out to, like with some trees and some fields and some parklands, doing some power loops and that sort of stuff, and luckily that's what we're going to see in this video. Now, starting at the outside in, let's have a look at some of the components, and we have some, I think these are Red Roo props. They're kind of wide and chunky actually, and they give some decent efficiency, also a fair bit of pop, but it didn't have as much as the iFlight NAZGUL, which we'll refer to quite a lot, but it had a better efficiency. Oh, that's what I found when I was flying this thing around. Moving towards the middle, of course, nowadays, look, everything just has a 4-in-1, so I'll put a picture on the screen, but we've got a 50 amp ESC in the middle. On top of that, we have our dual gyro flight controller, and it's an F7 in there, which is great. You know, that's an upgrade from the NAZGUL, which is only an F4. Towards the back, we've got our tramp-controlled smart audio VTX, which can boost up to 400 milliwatts. We've got a really cool little TPU antenna mount on the back with it's also made if you want to get some of the binoculars, and I'll put another picture on the screen, whether you want to use a TBS antenna, if you're going to use Crossfire, or just your normal, like, I guess, 2.4 antennas that are on there. We have a little mount for our antenna, which I should get, because that comes in the box. There's actually one on this one right here, I should say. So you've got your little antenna mount, which simply screws onto the back, and that stays well out of the way of the props. And then towards the front, and this is where I'm going to say there's one of the stars of the show, because in the footage when I was flying this thing around on a cloudy day, we've got our Aurora camera with a 2.1mm lens, and it looked absolutely gorgeous. The colors I was getting off this camera looked so bright and so vibrant when I was flying around with my SkyZos on. It was just a delicious camera, I should say. So I really, really like the camera that they've got put in here. Moving on, let's talk about, I guess, the design of the thing. And look, it's 220mm from corner to corner, and it is just a very, very generic base. I don't know, the design is not doing anything too special. It's kind of just your standard freestyle drone, but I think that's more than fine because it doesn't need to do anything different. It just needs to work well, and that's what people want. It does come with a little GoPro mount you can screw in here, but look, that's a pretty insane angle if you ask me. So I was just flying around with one of my mounts that I'd zip tied to the top. And then of course, the quality of the thing, it's HGLRC. They make some great gear. They've been in the game for a long time. It's got good quality components in here, things like the Tramp VTX. We've got an F7 in the middle, a really strong up to 6S ESC, and yeah, overall I'm going to say like an 8 out of 10 in terms of quality. Flipping it over, you can see there's also some nice little touches if you want to put in some. There's like little extra carbon bumpers at the front, and you've got some 30 by 30 mounting holes in the back if you didn't want to, I should say 20 by 20 mounting holes in the back if you didn't want to put in a large flight controller if you're just after the frame or something like that. Let's talk about the pros and the cons, why it's on the bench before we take it out to the field. Rip it around. Pros first. I love the price, $184 for what you get, an F7 flight controller, you know, with a huge ESC in there, a beautiful camera, you know, smart audio, decent antennas. Also, if you want to hold like a TBS crossfire setup or something like that, I really, really like it. It flies well, it is efficient, gorgeous camera, and it just works. It's so nice nowadays. If you don't like building, you don't like soldering, and you just want a drone that's going to do that relatively cheap, well, Bob's your uncle, you're ready, you're off to go and have some fun. Moving on to the pros, and it also flies well. Things that are not my favorite about it. It's not terribly exciting. It's not like groundbreaking. It's not doing any crazy innovative designs, and it just is a basic functioning working drone, and I guess there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're looking for something that's going to turn heads, this one's not going to be it. It doesn't have the most power versus the NAZGUL, but I did find it to be far more efficient, so you're going to get some lot longer flight times using this boy. And yeah, overall I guess it's just a decent working drone. But that's it on the bench. Let's go have some fun out in the field, rip the HG-LRC Sector 5 around, find out how well it goes, show you guys some footage, and just, yeah, muck around with long range Tony and get his impressions as well. So let's do it in 3, 2, 1. Radio out here in the field. Let's do it with HG-LRC's Sector 5. I've got the 4S version. Rip it around. I'm going to strap my GoPro to the top in a beautiful spot. Just a pity about the weather. And then we'll hand it over to long range Tony in the background and see what he thinks about the HG-LRC Sector 5. You're actually flying, what are you flying?
I'm flying a HG-LRC, what is it, an Arrow?
I think, nah, that's not the Arrow, that's the Bat, is that the Batman? I don't know. Tony, I think, has a HG-LRC Batman, so it'll be interesting to compare, I guess, a year ago model to today's. Let's do it. Rightio, here we go on board. I'm going to check out Tony's part in a minute, and that's also where we'll see some DVR, and you can see the footage from inside the camera, because I must say that's one of the things I loved most about this drone, and it was a pleasant surprise because I'd heard the camera in these wasn't going to be the best. But let me know what you think when you see Tony's footage. It just was so vibrant and so colourful, and it just felt great to fly around, go exploring, and that's what you want. That's where I feel like this craft kind of excels. It's definitely not as fast as a NAZGUL. It didn't feel like it had as much punch. Right there, I almost had some fail safes on my jumper text, which is why I made a video about that yesterday. But overall, for a cruisy drone, I think it just feels great to fly around. It feels good in the air. It's stable on the sticks. It doesn't have too much prop wash, and it's very, very snappy on the turn. So it's probably something when we do a flip or a roll, it just feels really good, like it's locked in place. When you stop rolling, then it kind of stops exactly where you want it to, which is fantastic. Now, I did have a failsafe up here at the moment, and that'll be at the end of the video, so we'll see what happens when we go get that. But I also am going to jump to some other footage because I wasn't feel confident flying with my jumper over this water, and I didn't want to lose my drone, so I took it back up to the in-laws place and started to rip it around where I could do a bit more freestyle orientated stuff, because at the moment this is just a nice cool place to fly, and it's just kind of cruisy, but you can't do too many obstacles or anything like that. But right here you can see in a more familiar environment, we can talk about how the craft actually handles. So it does have still a fair bit of pep ripping around, and the flight times are probably something that really, really impressed me. We'll see Tony flying that around as well, and it just seems to have great efficiency and flow, so you can link tricks together. It seems to do what you want it to do, and yeah, overall for something you can take out of the box, it's a bit of a dream versus how things used to be back in the day when we're building and putting them all together. So overall, I'm going to say I really enjoyed flying this one around. It didn't have as much power, to sum it up, but it did have longer flight times, and it really, do you want to go balls to the walls crazy for like 90 seconds and just have insane power, or do you want to I guess more enjoy flying around, exploring places, doing a bit of acro here and there, and just, I don't know, having a joyful flight experience. And right here, I'm just, my daughter was watching, and she likes to watch the drone, so she stands behind the fence, and I do a little bit of a punch out and all that sort of stuff, and she says zoom zoom, the drone's going. But here you can see a bit of a punch out, and it still does have some pep though. But what we should do, let's hand it over to Tony right after we see what happens with my failsafe.
Hey Stu.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, I think I had a failsafe
on the jumper
a few times, yeah, flying this around.
So where do you reckon you are?
Over here somewhere. A fair way out.
In amongst the concrete and the cacti?
No, over the fence.
You gotta get over this fence, mate.
I know. Jesus, this was not a good space to have a fail-safe. Whew. Well, we got it back, Tony. We had a fail-safe. I'm not too sure what's going on with the jumper.
Yep.
We've relocated to a safer position where if we lose it, you know, it doesn't matter because it's all our property. We know what the RF environment's like down here. This is the Sector5 from HGLRC. First impressions, thoughts, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, look,
besides the mud.
I've been a big fan of HGLRC. They've made some really good quads over the years. I had a couple of the small 3-inch and a 5-inch quad, which is this one here. I've got the Batman.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a very different frame. This has got the I don't know what you call that. I always refer to that as the wizard frame.
Okay.
Or the alien frame. And you know, you've got double stack in there, VTX at the back. Yeah, look, it's nice. I guess this is for me, this says freestyle frame.
Yep.
The way it's set up, I like the little TPU mount at the back for your antenna and your receiver aerials. I like that a lot. And plenty of room up the front for a GoPro mount. Like, you can bring this way forward if we want. And plenty of room for a decent sized battery on the back. So yeah, I'm expecting good things. Even the way the pigtail comes out, pigtail runs out the back, it runs through a little hole in the top plate between there and the TPU. It's always nice because it doesn't mean it's going to get smashed up by the by your props. So yeah, I like it.
Let's do it.
See how she goes.
Let's do it.
First impressions, having just looked through the goggles, is the hang on, got a great looking camera. Very nice colours on there.
It does look beautiful, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Which is, all of my cameras always look terrible. I must mess around with them too much. But no, they look really good. Good clear colours. As good as analog gets, I suppose.
Nice little freestyle manoeuvre.
Alrighty, let's yeah, this is nice. F7 flight controller too.
Yep.
Yeah, this is the camera's really good. I like that.
It's got a weird field of view, doesn't it? It's like you can see quite a lot. You can see the props there in the outside, and they look fish-eyed and turned in. But
the rest of the camera doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't look distorted. Yeah. It's strange however they're doing it. But I feel like too, it kind of affects the sense of speed. Do you feel like that? Like the quad is moving when you're watching it line of sight, but in the goggles, it doesn't feel like it's moving that fast. Or I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it's the camera looks really good. I love the whatever the fisheye is, or the field of vision. But yeah, like you say, having the props sort of angled in gives you a bit of a sense that it's more fish-eyed than it is, because it doesn't seem fish-eyed to me at all looking through the lens. Yeah, it's nice, and the rates are good too. It's running 6S, isn't it?
No, this is a 4S rig.
This is 4S?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can get two versions, a 4S or a 6S.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is good. It's quite a windy day today. Yeah, you can tell it's 4S actually now. Yeah, this it's great. I just love how clear the camera is. It's really nice.
The camera's good. Let's move on. Other parts of the frame. Any oscillations, vibrations?
No vibrations at all. Let me try around the corners.
Prop wash?
No.
Do a hard 180?
Hang on. No, tiny little bit, but that was my flying. Yeah, it's good. It's probably not as grippy in the corner as some that I've flown recently. Just seems to maybe it's because I've been flying a fair few 6S. It doesn't seem to have the grip when it gets into the corners. And maybe it's a weight thing. Maybe it's carrying a bit more weight.
Taking this racing anyway?
I don't think so. But looking at the frame, it really isn't a racing frame. This is a freestyle rig. So great for your bandos.
What do you think, just taking this out of the box and someone can just get it to work like this?
Oh, easy. Like, you know, this is very smooth. It's very easy to fly. And look, if it's not your first FPV rig, I think you'd have no dramas flying it.
Why do you say not your first? What do you mean by that?
Well, you know, you need something to learn to fly on, and I would say that there are better rigs to learn to fly on. Yep, I actually think maybe a little HGLRC Arrow, a little 3-inch would be really nice. Can take a fair bit of punishment because they're quite light. But something like this, I just feel that maybe once you've had your first and you've got a bit of a feel for the sticks, maybe this is something you move up to, give you a bit more He's got a bit more grunt than the smaller ones, and you can put a GoPro on it, go and get some really juicy high def video. It's very smooth, very smooth. You'll be able to get some great video on it, I reckon. I think just taking it out the box, being able to fly it is a bit of a staple these days. I remember back in the day, I'd be picking up frames and motors and spending ages cobbling them all together, but now you can just go and spend the money and you get it all in a nicely tuned package straight out the box, plug a battery in, bind your radio, and off you go. And I think, you know, it's very, very easy, and this kind of explains this quad really well. You could just pick it up out the box, plug a battery in, bind it up, and away you go. You've really got no stuffing around. And what I can't believe,
what's
Stu,
your flight time?
Like, I don't know, but I am on 16 volts and I feel like I've been flying forever.
Yeah.
So this must have some super efficient motors. I mean, I'm only cruising, but I feel like I've been flying for ages.
Let's have a look. The DVR's been... I'm on 6 minutes since I pressed go on the DVR. Maybe this could be a good long ranger with
Man,
the
look,
time this battery's
even
going
with
for.
that, it's still on 15.9. I'm really surprised at how long this battery's lasting. And like I say, I'm not smashing it, but...
Just keep going, man, till it's like 14.
Yeah. This is going forever.
And I think this is only a 1300.
It was. The thing is, I'm running out of things to say on your video, so we're just going to go through time.
Just cruise and have fun and do whatever you want to do. And we're not getting any fail safes up here, which is good too. Can it go below 15.9? What's going on with that battery voltage?
It's not even moving when I punch it out.
Is it just stuck on 15.9?
We're going to see this fall out the sky in a minute. Do you want me to bring it in and we'll just test it?
No, that's not fun.
No, I'll wait till it falls out the sky, shall we?
Just don't go over the road or anything.
All right.
Or over your car.
No, that's cool.
Give it a punch. See if you can make that move. Okay. That's something's not right there. Yeah?
I would tend to agree with you, Stu.
Because we've still got 15.9. Do you want to bring it in and I'll check?
Yeah, let's bring it in and see.
Come it in and hover real close. I'll get a battery checker.
All right, you want to check it while I'm hovering?
No. 1 second. Here's my battery checker.
And it's got no voltage.
Oh, okay, so we're dead?
It's dead. 7.5 minutes that was. And we're on the floor here.
That's still efficient, Rick, even though it killed the battery.
Yeah. That was going forever.
What are we on?
11.4.
11.4, so we killed that pack.
We have stuffed that pack.
We got a 7-minute flight, wrecked the battery, but what was the size?
1300. 1300
Look, that's
for
pretty
us.
efficient still.
That is.
When you think most
a little
times
bit
you might
warm.
be getting 4
And
minutes.
you know what? That'll bounce back.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the battery.
Yeah,
easy.
that was a long time. But very smooth. Not masses of power like some of the other drones, and I'd say it's probably the weight.
Yep.
And then you stick a GoPro in, it gets even heavier. So I think just be cautious of that. You wouldn't be buying this to go racing. You certainly wouldn't be buying this to go massive punch outs and and huge dives. But for just cruising around and having some fun at bandos, this could be really good.
Mate.
Look, it seemed to go forever. I mean, we did kill the battery, but
Yeah, I'll have to have a look what's going on with the OSD.
yeah, it was going. It went for ages. So yeah, super fun, very enjoyable, and yeah, smooth.
All right, no worries. Thanks, mate. Wonder what was going on with that battery voltage.
I've never seen that before. It was just, unless it's set to like max battery.
Yeah, or unless it's like getting the camera, or I don't even know what's going on.
I don't know.
All right. Thanks, Tony. Radio, so there it is. There's my review of the HG LRC Sector 5, and overall, I'm going to say look, it flies great. If you want to get into the freestyle game and you don't like the look of the NAZGUL, definitely think about this one. Each one of them has their pros and cons. Overall, it really depends. Do you want extreme performance that's going to kind of suck down and make your batteries explode, but has some pretty impressive pop? Or do you want something that's going to be a little bit more efficient, a little bit more smooth and cruisy, and yeah, just generally with an F7 update as well? So I don't know, they're both pretty amazing options. What do you guys think? Drop your comments down below. Shout out to Long Range Tony for coming out. The weather was absolutely garbage, and I'm going to be doing a video on the RX loss that happened in this one, and I'm sure that I had something wrong on my jumper, so I'm going to be doing a little bit of an update on that because I didn't get that only on this. I've got it on some other things, but overall, that's my review of the Sector5 from HG LRC. Let me know what you guys think. Comment down below and subscribe for more FPV related content, and as always, happy flying.